After decades of searching for her birth mother, all hope seemed lost for Cindy Burns. Burns was given up for adoption at birth in South Korea, but her luck turned around and a CBS News crew was able to catch the remarkably poignant reunion between mother and daughter. Barry Peterson has the story.
I'm nervous, I'm excited. I've waited 50 years for this moment.
For Cindy Burns, the wait is almost over. It started when she was a 10-month-old baby left with a Korean adoption agency. Amid that country's poverty, this was a chance at a better life in America, believed her Korean mother, Sun-ja.
Did you believe you would ever see your daughter again?
No, I don't believe it. I don't know how I'm going to find her. So that's all I think.
Cindy grew up in a Connecticut family. She had all but given up finding her birth mother.
I'd gone to Korea last year, kind of looking for her, and I made peace with the fact that I'd probably never find her.
When a DNA sample led her to Sun-ja.
It says 99.99% she is your biological mother. I so much wanted it to be true.
There was more. Her mom had been living on the West Coast. They had been in the same country for decades. Cindy flew to Tacoma this weekend to meet her mom.
My daughter, Cindy. You're so beautiful. I always say, where can I find her? I don't know where she is. So.
We're back together now.
I know.
When we sat with them, they couldn't stop holding each other, as if they were afraid they might lose each other again.
What does it say about your mother that she was willing to be open about this secret that all of her life she hadn't shared with her family?
It's confirmation that she did love me.
At Sun-ja's home, there was a family reunion. Cindy with her newly found sisters and brother.
It's what all of us who are adopted want, is for our existence to be validated.
Here we go.
And to know that our parents loved us.
Barry Peterson, CBS News, Tacoma, Washington.
And the producer of that piece, Heather Won Tesoriero, is here with me. And I have no idea where to start discussing this story because I should say right now, right up top, you and I are going to discuss a story about an adoptee given up for adoption at birth who finds her birth mother. You and I are both adoptees in various stages of doing exactly the same thing. So I guess there'll be a meta thing happening here. You normally, though, produce medical pieces for CBS Evening News. But working on this, obviously a passion project. What was it like?
It was a remarkable thing to be able to witness this reunion and witness this process. And for me, I'll say right out, it was an opportunity to sort of live vicariously through this person who had this serendipitous, totally unexpected reunion with her birth mother. When she set out to do the search, she always knew that her father had served in the US military. So she knew that, she thought that there was a probability that he might be, or somebody in his a genetic relation could be here in the US. In no way, shape, or form did she imagine that this database would ping her Korean mother here in America. It just wasn't even in her thought process.
We heard her say that she wanted her existence validated. You know, I know for me, I grew up always knowing. And so in a way, my parents were, they were perfect in the way they handled it. I never felt as though something was missing, but I can also understand, I guess you can too, this idea of validation at a fundamental level.
It's a very primitive urge, I think, and also what Cindy spoke about is that for her, the not knowing the very fundamentals of how her life started and what her origins were from her birth family, that always stayed with her. The not knowing really plagued her on some level. And she went on to have, she got married, she became a mom herself, she's had a very happy life. It's not as if it tortured her, but it was always there.
I ended up being found by a half-sister of mine, my birth mother's daughter. And you know, until it happened, I hadn't necessarily wanted to seek it out. I guess I left it to serendipity, if nothing else. People have asked me what it was like, and for me, I guess it was like, imagine having a beautiful piece of art hanging in your home that is unfinished, but it's beautiful, and you have had it your whole life, and so that's just the way the piece of art's always looked to you. One day, the artist arrives on your door and says, I'm here to finish my piece of art. There's also an idea that it wasn't just Cindy's story, it was her mother's as well, that this is, and that's really, I find and have found in my experience, that's where the fault lines also can lie, that reunion can be so many things to the different folks.
Yes, and what's interesting for her, from Sinja, from her perspective, a really critical piece of this story, she had not told her children.
Wow.
That she had had a child prior to the family that they knew. So this was a secret that she held for 50 years in her heart. And when the existence of Cindy started emerging, she had to make a choice. Was she going to share this information? How is she going to sort of present this to her family? That this is a really big part of my history that you've never known about. So I thought it was incredibly brave and bold, and I will say that her new half-siblings, they took it amazingly. They welcomed her. Yeah. They were like, oh my gosh, you're part of the family. They really embraced her, and it didn't, in their case, it didn't create tension or, you know, wait a second, I was the oldest kid, no, you're the oldest kid. They really just, it truly was like a family reunion.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, obviously wrought with dysfunction, I can say, as somebody with two new half-brothers and a half-sister. Things have been really phenomenal at times. Things have been incredibly fraternal or sororital at times as well. You have your moments. But there are moments now I've gotten to have, and we see Cindy have them. And now with you. What is it to you? First of all, I mean, just as an adoptee who doesn't know, what is that now for you?
So it's interesting because my relationship to the lack of information, frankly, it changes as I get older.
Well said.
It's sort of an evolving internal dialogue and how I feel about it. So at different times in my life, I'll be honest, I've had greater interest in knowing and finding than others. And it takes a lot of effort to pursue these kinds of things. So you have to have the emotional energy and you have to have the bandwidth to say, okay, I'm really going to set aside time, energy, money, resources, and I'm going to devote myself to this. For my personal story, which I really haven't shared publicly before, but I'm happy to.
And please don't, if you.
No, this is
we're all walking over this Rubicon together.
Yeah.
I mean, I found, you know, there's no manual for this,
yeah.
So please.
You know, so for me, my desire to find my birth family was always sort of blunted from a very young age with the knowledge of how little information I had from the get-go. So I was left on a doorstep in Wonju, South Korea, when I was estimated to be about 3 days old in the cold winter in 1974. And then I went into foster care, and I was raised by a foster mother until I was 9.5 months old. And then I was adopted into by Bob and Nancy Tesoriero, my parents. So I knew from a very young age that I didn't have a name that was related to my biological family. I didn't even have an accurate birthday. So that right there kind of, that's a lot of marbles on the floor. You know, that you try to pick all those up.
It'd be impossible.
It'd be impossible. So the closest I got was in 2012, I actually agreed to be filmed by a Korean broadcasting network. They wanted to just sort of shed light on my life story. And at first I actually said no. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what, this might be the only chance I have to sort of telegraph my story, as it were, in a public way that could ping something, that somebody could see it, you know, and they may want to come forward, they may not want to. But something interesting happened, Josh, because the piece aired while I was in Korea on vacation, and every day people came up to me, and I was like totally not expecting that, and they came up to me and they said, I saw your story. I really hope you find your birth family. I really hope that they come forward. I really hope you get some information. And I was sort of blown away by that. And I think, and I'd love to hear about how it's been for you, because you're further down the road. What I learned from it, though, was in your mind as an adoptee, you sometimes think of the reunion as being like a closure, an ending, but it is the beginning.
Yep.
It is the
Just
if
a
you
bridge to a
reunite,
whole new place.
it is not an ending. It doesn't close the book.
I have to tell you, your parents raised a remarkable human being. We are going to continue this conversation, sorry folks, off camera, but it is a beautiful piece, and I'm just so happy for Cindy. I'm happy to make your acquaintance, and we've got a lot to parse here, Heather.
Thank you so much,
Really
Josh.
appreciate it, really, really do.
Thank you.